Catholic Church has had 20 years to craft a response to media inquiries about priests accused of sex abuse. Frankly, we were stunned by their reaction when Brad Edwards started with a question.
So why are two problem priests living next to a school, Brad?
Yeah, that was our question. Good evening, Robin. Good evening, Erica. We still want to know why two problem priests were being housed next to a school. While dioceses like Chicago are doing media interviews, the diocese in Joliet is not. They're hiding behind Attorney General Lisa Madigan's inquiry into Illinois' 6 dioceses. She launched that after the stinging Pennsylvania grand jury report that estimated 1,000 victims there of priest sex abuse. Nearly 2 months after we began with a simple question, here again tonight, we are requesting an interview with the bishop of the Joliet diocese. Stop after I ask for Bishop Conlon.
Okay.
Hello?
Come in.
I'm here for Bishop Conlon.
After repeated requests for interviews were denied,
Brad Edwards from Channel 2.
we showed up unannounced for Bishop R. Daniel Conlon, in charge of the Diocese of Joliet since 2011.
Answers are needed, so we're here to talk to him.
In part about this man, Father James Nowak. As part of a $4 million settlement in 2015, the diocese settled with 8 now grown men who claimed Nowak abused them. Nowak stayed at the St. John Vianney Villa, since 2007, even after he was removed from the ministry in 2012. The villa's next door to a school, where on this day in August, the cross-country team practiced. From the deck of the villa, Boy Scout Troop 507's trailers and the parking lot of St. Margaret Mary Catholic Church. After we started investigating, Nowak moved. First to the Franciscan Sisters of the Sacred Heart in Frankfurt, where they frequently hold children's events. Then he moved again. The diocese didn't tell us where the 81-year-old priest was, but we found him.
Father Nowak?
Yes.
Well, hello, Father Nowak. We've been looking for you.
I think you guys haven't been helpful at all, so we're here to talk to him.
Instead of getting questions answered by the bishop, we were lied to by diocese spokesperson Ed Flavin.
So he's leaving for Ireland right now.
That was September 13th, yet we saw the bishop, R. Daniel Conlon, 3 days later, still in town, at a mass in Shorewood. The pilgrimage to Ireland started on the 17th, fully 4 days after.
So he's leaving for Ireland right now.
Huh. 3 days after leaving for Ireland right now, he officiated, in town, a mass for people with disabilities.
Because I'm disabled, at the time I needed assistance.
Eddie Burkle was an altar boy at St. Dominic's in Bolingbrook when he asked Father James Nowak to help him go to the bathroom.
In helping me button my pants, he got on his knees in front of me and put his hand inside my underwear and fondled me.
Burkle was 13 years old.
It was unknown, but I was probably ADHD then.
Steve Janik was 13 years old, too.
Father Nowak was my parents' favorite priest.
It was 1967, the Sacred Heart School in Lombard. His parents wanted him to be a priest. He was assigned to interview with Father Nowak.
He asked me if I knew what oral sex was. And I said, no idea. And he said, let me show you. And he took a book out and he showed me.
He says the sexual abuse began soon after in the pool at St. Petronil in Glen Ellen. Nowak spent 40 years at local parishes. After we first reported he was at the villa, Nowak took to Facebook. Since my personal matter was presented on Channel 2 last night, perhaps it would be well for me to make some response. First of all, I have never sexually abused anyone in my life.
Wrong.
I had to read it a couple of times because I didn't believe what he was saying.
There has not been a global reckoning with this horrendous reality.
Northwestern professor Robert Orsi, a foremost expert on the Catholic Church.
The Church is now facing a crisis that I think is as serious as any in its 2,000-year history.
The Diocese of Joliet has self-reported 35 bad priests. Fair estimate?
I don't believe it. They have an incentive to underreport.
Attorney Martin Gould. The Diocese of Joliet has self-reported 35 priests had credible allegations against them. 17 are still alive. Gould represented 3 men who settled with the Joliet Diocese for $1.4 million in August over abuse claims involving Father Leonardo Matteo, who died in 2004.
Father Matteo was ultimately shipped to the Philippines, where he worked for the Archdiocese of Manila. And we can only imagine what happened there.
Not here, and he's traveling. He will be on a pilgrimage.
It's not the biggest lie, but it's a lie.
It's a lie.
So he's leaving for Ireland right now.
And this is what is so vexing, I think, is when a lie like this is so easily caught out, and the resulting embarrassment is going to be so great.
We also wanted to ask about Father Richard Jacklin, one of Nowak's housemates at the villa. Here's Father Jacklin after a court date in Kankakee, where he's accused of sexually assaulting a resident at this state-run facility, a partially paralyzed man with an IQ of 47. Jacklin's pleaded not guilty, but Kankakee County Prosecutor James Rowe said in court that Jacklin, quote, admitted to these sexual acts to the investigating state troopers. Father Jacklin, too, was moved from the villa after we began investigating. We found him living here with his mother in Woodridge. Is the church monitoring Jacklin or Nowak or any of the other dozen-plus living problem priests? We don't know. Father Nowak?
Yes.
I'm Brad from Channel 2.
God bless you, sir.
Can we come in and talk to you?
No, thank you.
Father Nowak now stays at this Extended Stay America, next to the diocese Catholic Charities offices. Did the diocese have you move here?
You can contact them and ask them.
On Facebook, Father Nowak did say, please pray for me. It is a difficult time in my life. Adding, in regard to our beloved Bishop Daniel Conlon, he has cared for me well.
I've been furious with the bishops and the people in power that have not done the right thing.
I would think after all this time they would learn how to get this right, and they just keep making mistake after mistake after mistake.
Professor Orsi once asked a sex abuse victim what he wanted to see from church leaders.
He wanted to see every prelate, from the Pope down to local bishops, sitting in sackcloth and ashes on the steps of their church, doing penance. That seems about right to me.
And again, the diocese citing the AG's inquiry as a reason not to speak with us. The AG's office told us their investigation had no bearing. Madigan's clergy abuse hotline has been up and running for a month now. She's received 243 calls and emails so far. Rob and Erica.
That spokesperson, he reached out to you again, and did you have some concerns about what he's also saying now?
Yeah, he actually reached out to us on Tuesday when he realized we indeed were going to do a report. Said, did we have any questions that he could clarify or help us out with? I immediately, soon after, responded, said, we'd like to know where the 18 problem priests are living, and are you monitoring them?
Are there any prelates above the Joliet diocese that are aware of what's going on? Other than we know the AG is one side of it.
Yeah.
What about some of the people in the church?
We're going to have to wait and see on that. Hopefully we'll hear back.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
Also